certainly customers until almost the very end, and even in some cases not at all. How do you guys manage that when you think about managing the ecosystem post-close?
Well, from our standpoint, I think really the key is, I was kind of chuckling to myself in general, the answer to almost every question seems to be it depends, and you have to be careful. So I think, you know, from that standpoint, you know, you look at the kind of business it is and understand how deep you need to get with the management, and then really insist that you need to get that deep. Or, you know, obviously at the end of the day, I mean, we're all responsible for our investors' money, and if we don't feel like we can get comfortable with whatever situation it is, then you have to be okay saying this just isn't for us. That, and you know, in our experience, it depends. I mean, you can talk to 4 people at certain kinds of companies, and you can feel pretty good about being able to work with them, and they're sort of the core of the team. There's other places that you really want to sit with, you know, 15 or 18 of the folks.
I think that is a great question. And I think back to when we moved into our house 5 years ago, and we did so much diligence on the house, but you never do diligence on your neighbors, and that's far more important than the house. Luckily, we have good neighbors. But I think that I don't know what the answer is there. What we try to do is listen and hear how the executives talk about the employees, how they when they're introducing them to us, when we're collectively talking about the business, how they draw them out, how they describe what the value they bring to the business as a indicator of whether they respect the employees, and the employees are vital members of the team. But if there was it would be great to have a sort of a tool or a process for getting a better feel at the ground level of the DNA of the firm. I think that does tell you a lot.
Yeah, I think just and then I'll let you. I think just to add on to that, it's always concerning to us when we're doing due diligence and the CEO consumes all the oxygen in the room at every meeting, and the management team doesn't do very much talking. And so you can kind of pick up from that. That means this is a top-down company, right? Everybody just does what that guy says. And that makes us nervous. So we, you know, in management presentations, you know, and you guys do a great job of, you know, making sure management teams are throwing the ball around, but you can always see during Q&A when, you know, CEOs just constantly popping in, then we know, you know, maybe there is no DNA here, and that could be really great. That could be because then we can kind of form it, or it could be bad, and it might be difficult to work with this company and make the changes we want because maybe this person is not going to be really accepting of changes we want. So that's a great question. I don't have an answer for you either, other than try to pick up clues.
Leave it to Doug. This is why you're the chair of this event.
I just want to add to that. You can also get a lot of.
Let's get next. Go ahead.
You can get a lot of knowledge from the industry, whichever industry it is, because the customers who are dealing with the company or former employees of that company, you can get a lot of external knowledge.
The employee, now that so many employees are online,
Yes.
We have gotten information from, I always wonder whether that's a skewed data set though.
I wonder too, yeah, those data sites you
But
go to
I think that is a good idea. Yeah.
Someone in a senior
Yeah.
level.
Yeah. And you're right, customers are a great source.
Or customers.
Yep.
They're great to do business with. They're always professional. Or, whoa, nightmare inside.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess there's always if you can do that, Denise, it works. You always have it. You do have a question that, and I don't know whether people ever read them anymore, but they're called NDAs. And sometimes if you go out, you know, you can really get yourself in a boatload of trouble because you don't really know who you're talking to. You don't know who they're going to talk to. But a lot of these family businesses, as we all know, keep things very close to the chest. And you go talk to somebody, and that person calls up the CEO and says, "Yeah, somebody was sniffing around. You know, are you guys selling your business or something like that?" Mm-hmm. And I think, you know, it's great. As I said, it's great if you can do it, but it's also pretty risky.
No, this gentleman has
Yes, quick question. Several of you have mentioned talent management, and in my world, the very next word is assessment. Do any of you use any of the very highly rated executive assessment, management assessment tools?
We engage a firm, and there are 2 or 3 firms that we use, and I'm assuming they're using those, very common assessment tools as part of their interview process. But it's pretty extensive. It's like a half day with a management person to go through the testing, do a bunch of interviewing. And the results of that stuff is not necessarily a go, no-go decision. It's rarely that. It's just, how can we best work with this person?
So I know we've, Myers-Briggs, which is, I think, one of the more common ones. And again, to what Gretchen said, it's not a go, no-go, but again, it's something that there's a huge history of, huge database. So in the absence of